Hey you guys, how's it going? Today I'm making this video because some of you guys were asking me for the updates on the jambu tree. Now if you don't know what this tree is, this is a tropical fruit and I've done multiple videos on, so I'll leave the links down below so you can check out those videos and see what this fruit looks like and how it tastes. It's just a really beautiful tropical fruit that is actually one of my top favorites. So what I have right now with me is the tree or the child of that mother plant, the original plant that you will see in the previous episodes. That mother plant has fruited and I took that seed and I planted it, and so now the tree that I have with me is the child of that original tree. So the mother plant, just to make the long story short, and to keep things simple I guess, is basically it was in the old place that I was living. Planted that tree years ago now, I can't even remember how long ago it was, and you know, right about I think about almost a year or less than a year before I moved, that tree also moved. Due to renovation at that time, the tree needed to be moved, so it was a really big project. It took I think a week and a half or 2 weeks long with 3 people working on it. So I want to share with you guys this story because I want to give you the pros and cons of, you know, what was done originally to that tree to keep it alive, and then what happened to that tree afterwards. And then I want to give you guys some of the tips that I learned from Spot over at Exotica Tropical Fruit Nursery, which I've also done a video tour of that place for you guys, so check out that video. It's a really lovely old exotic nursery that if you are in Southern California, definitely go visit that place. That jambu tree originally was planted in a really large raised bed basically, because in that maybe 12 by 12 square or something like that size raised bed, the bottom is concrete, so it's only, that tree was only growing in a really large raised bed of 2 or 2.5 feet deep at the most. And like I said, the bottom is concrete, the roots cannot go through that, so instead the root wasn't going very deep, but it was spreading outwards. So the advantage of doing that is that when you move a tree that was originally planted in a container or a raised bed, I mean a giant raised bed with a concrete bottom basically is a really huge container or a pot, you know, so you're basically transplanting the tree when you want to move it. And so I think that's the upside to planting a tree in a raised bed. When you want to move it, the roots are already mainly, you know, intact, maintained in that space, so that that main root system that's most important, which is like closest to the trunk of the tree, won't go into shock too much when you move it. There's a good chance of the tree surviving. And so that's what happened at first. Moving that tree, you know, was it was a big project. I mean, the tree after all was really heavy, right? So had to slowly, you know, remove the cinder blocks, open up that space of that raised bed, and then carefully and slowly removing the soil so that more of that root system was exposed.
Step 17-8, continue clearing dirt.
When the tree, you know, the extra roots that were extending outwards would just have to be cut, because there's no way that you would bring like 100% of the root system over. So that took a really long time, and then eventually it needed, you know, 3 people to move that tree. Just kept plying it up and shifting it to the location that the tree needed to be. In order to keep the roots healthy and the entire tree from being too much in shock, I basically mixed everything that I had, all the different kinds of solutions, from, you know, fertilizers, like liquid fertilizers, worm casting tea, you know, fish emulsion, whatever I had, I threw all the mix in, and I was hosing, or I was spraying down the leaves, the branches, the root system. And then when we needed to take a break, actually left a put a blanket over it just as a cover to protect the root system from drying out. That tree was moved around late summer. So, you know, as fall was approaching, that tree was actually, after it was moved, it was actually growing new leaves, like tiny little baby leaves. And then, you know, I kept spraying those, you know, with a fertilizer solution. So the tree was actually coming back, but then after that, I actually moved that winter. And so I remember that winter having a lot of rain. And tropical trees actually don't like the soil to be too wet during the winter because the cold and the dampness in the soil is what causes a lot of root rotting and kills the tropical trees. So I think in this lesson what I've learned is that you can, you know, move trees. It is possible, but you do have to expect that the tree is somehow going to go in shock, and then you would have to really baby it for a while so that it would come back. And if I were to move a tree again, I would definitely move it in, say, late winter as spring is coming so that it can have that, you know, good few months of time during the warm season where the plant or the tree is more comfortable. I don't know, I'm sorry about the noise all around me, you guys. That's just how it is living in a city, and if I had to wait for the place to be peace and quiet, I would never make a video. So I apologize for that, and thank you for sticking with me. When I was talking to a spot at Exotica Nursery, he was giving me some tips on how you can prevent tree roots from spreading like crazy, because there are some people who, you know, get concerned of if they live in a small piece of land with a house, they're concerned of certain trees might get really invasive, say like the jujube tree, for example. The root system is so strong that it would just trail wherever it can and it'll shoot up another tree. And roots in certain types of trees can actually cause the concrete, the ground to crack. It'll lift the concrete and the tile up. It would damage homes, especially if you live, you know, with close, like neighbors in close proximity. You don't want it to get into the neighbor's yard just because, you know, liability issues and you know, things like that. So the advice he gave me was that certain things that you can do is, say, one way is to maintain the root system mainly intact. One way is to dig a really big hole, like much larger than the hole that it needs to put the tree in, and then you would fill it with really good soil, which is how you generally would start when you plant a tree down anyway. But with all that really good drainage, really fluffy, easy to grow in kind of a soil, and you keep that moisture around that area, it would encourage the root system to mostly stay in that place, because roots sometimes tend to stretch out a lot more outwards to search for water. So if you keep that main area very well hydrated, very fertile. It's kind of like the tree doesn't want to move, you know, it just wants to stay where it's at because it's comfortable, because it's really nourishing where it's at, so it'll just stay there. And in that case, it makes it a lot easier to keep the root system not going crazy, to be really invasive. Also, if you do want to move the tree eventually, you're going to have an easier time because it's mainly intact. Another way is to line and put a bunch of bricks or whatever kind of a drainage in, like on the bottom of that hole first, and or even, you know, and kind of line it as like a pool, and then put the good soil in there, so it would really trap the moisture in that area. Or there's a third way, which is to put a really big pot and just plant that pot underneath, plant the entire tree with the pot in the ground, so that if the roots were to reach out, it would just reach out. It would just grow out of the drainage holes, and that wouldn't be the majority or the main portion of your root system. So when you move the tree, it's okay to lose those roots that are outside of the pot. The fourth way is to put the container on top of the soil so that it would stay above ground, and if the roots were to take, go into the ground, it would only get the tree healthier and bigger, just like it's growing in the earth. But then if you do need to move it, it would be easy because it's just already, above the earth, and you'll just lose some of that extra root that has extended into the earth. And that's okay to lose that, because you have the main portion, the most important part of the root system. So those are the few tips that he's given me that I think it's good to keep in mind if you guys are looking for ways to how to maintain or retain the root system, because you're concerned of like causing issues lifting concrete, or growing a more invasive tree, or if you have a tree that you haven't decided if it's going to be a permanent home or something, then you can use one of those methods. So with all of that being said, I want to show you guys how the child of that jambu tree is looking right now. What you're seeing here is the roselle. Originally it was growing in where the jambu is at, but now I basically had both of these plants switched place because the roselle needs more sun to create these blooms right now, whereas the jambu no longer needs that much sun because it's not flowering. So let me show you guys that jambu. Let's come into this little tight space here. So I've placed this tree under the canopy here. I actually opened up the canopy so it lets more light in. Because this tree is not currently flowering, I can utilize that full sun space for the hibiscus. Let's all put our good energy towards this tree so that it will fruit next year. This tree has grown quite a bit this year. It grows a lot faster if you step up with the potting, but I didn't do that one of the years, so it slowed down the growth a little bit. It has grown quite a bit this summer. If you guys missed that episode where I was pruning this tree, go check it out. I'll link it down below for you. But you can see the size of this tree that I've grown from seed. It's in like a 15-gallon pot, so it's really, this tree is actually about 3.5 feet tall or so, or 4 feet at the most. As you can see, it's in a tight space, but here it is. By the way, did you guys know that jambu, thank you tree, leaves smells like the jambu fruit, and so is the same with mangoes. Mango leaves smell like mango fruits. And there are a few types of fruit trees that have leaves that smell like the fruit. Oh gosh. So when I miss that fruit, I just smell these leaves. Yeah, you guys definitely go check out those videos if you don't know what the jambu fruit is. It is truly a very refreshing, delightful, hydrating fruit. I really love them. It's just a perfect fruit for a hot summer's day. There it is. that's the story and the updates for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And follow me on Facebook and Instagram, where I do instant updates of my life that you don't get to see on this channel. And you would like to support my work, I really would appreciate that. Please go check out my website at wendyland.com. I'll leave the links of everything that I just mentioned in this video just in the box below. Thank you so much, you guys. Stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you right back here in the next video. Bye.